If you consider yourself a nice guy, but people always take advantage of you because you find it difficult to say no, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to become more assertive, how to be respected, how to say no. And if you stay until the end, I might give you some tips on how to get out of the friend zone as a nice guy. Basically, this video is a video request from one of my followers, loyal followers, Daniel. Pick one. And since I like video requests, give it a thumbs up for Daniel right now. Alright, so I just want to tell you, like, I've been on both sides, right? I've been a weenie. Basically, people have taken me for granted. And I've been a professional time waster. Basically, I can give you perspective on both sides and how to actually not be a weenie. Let me just explain what is happening, right? A lot of times, us nice guys get mistreated. And that's because we have got one friendship group, right? And we care about that one friendship group so much that eventually we start taking their shit without notice. And since they are our only friendship group, by objecting and refusing to do things that we don't want to do, we might actually face disapproval, we might actually not get accepted. And in that scenario, if that is your scenario, it is virtually impossible to become more assertive because they've got you in their palms, right? But I'm going to teach you how to actually get out of it. And the number one way you get out of this is by actually changing the way they see you. Let me explain. When I was a time waster, I pickpocket certain people, I wasted time for my own benefit. It was not even funny. There's always two types of people, right? There's one person you respect because you need their help and they're really useful. And there's another person that are also useful, but you take them for granted. The only difference between the two is the person that you respects themselves and would never let you waste their time. Basically, what the self-respected person does differently is, first of all, they have multiple friendship groups. They will tell you no straight up if they don't want to do anything, and they rarely pick up the phone. Basically, they're very not accessible in a way. When you finally do get the chance to hang out with them and you do get that time, then you appreciate it so much more. Most people use you up and spit you out not because they're bad people. It's because it's human nature to actually gravitate towards reward and move away from pain and punishment. If there's a consequence for doing something, we won't do it, you know? So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is, since people don't do it on purpose maliciously, you will have to train people to treat you how you want to be treated. Let me repeat. Train people how they're supposed to treat you, because if they mistreat you, it is technically your fault. The only way you can actually make them not take you for granted is leave the group and find a new friendship group. Find a new friendship group, find new hobbies, so you're not just dependent on one group, right? And this will do two things. Not only will you be able to see whether you are in a toxic relationship, because a lot of times we don't know whether we're in a toxic friendship when we're in it, but when we look from outside, we notice it, right? The second thing is the new group, obviously they're going to be your friends, but they serve to practice your assertive communication. And one way you can actually practice to become more assertive with your new friendship group is by making suggestions. Make suggestions, so it kind of like gives you like the experience of becoming more assertive. But again, you want to start incrementally. You want to be a little bit assertive, a little bit more assertive, and then very assertive. Like, you want to slowly start it, right? For example, you may want to start off like, can I suggest something? Then you want to go on to, I would say. And then lastly, you want to go into, let's do this, right? So in this way, kind of like you get comfortable and practice in becoming more assertive. And so when you do go back to your friendship group, you have actually got some experience on becoming assertive. The new group, they serve to practice your assertive communication, because if you change in front of your old friends, they will not have it. They will try and tell you, stop trying to be somebody who you're not, right? But if you leave the group and then you come back as somebody new, maybe for a month or so, then nobody can really argue about you improving your personality over time. Does that make sense? And that's how you, by the way, get out of the friend zone. The way you get out of the friend zone is basically by changing somebody's perception about you. Basically, you leave them alone, and whilst you're away for them, you give them time to miss you. You change up, you become this new person. You know, you work out, you eat well, you dress well, whatever, and then you come back, right? Once you go back to your friendship group, you have already got another level of respect because they now understand that you have options. So they will treat you with respect by default. But there will be some motherfuckers that will try and test you. So when somebody requests something from you, it will start off small, very small. And if you do fall for it, then they will kind of take a mile. In a kind of way to kind of show that you're more assertive, whenever somebody requests something very simple that they can do themselves, that is very not like, it's not a big deal to you, but somewhat inconvenient because they can do it themselves, just say, I'm sorry, I can't do it, and then cite a reason. And if you cite a reason, it works 10 times more because you're not rejecting them, you're basically declining their offer because the condition doesn't match. But if they still trying to push and kind of test whether you're really assertive, just say no, but just a little bit more firm, and then cite the same reason, say maybe next time, right? And there's a mistake I see with most people who are a little bit shy, who are a bit introverted. They say no initially, but they get softer when they say no the second time. With me, again, I would eat you alive if I see that you actually buckle after the second time. You know, you don't want to show any emotion, you don't want to smile, you don't want to be friendly, you just want to say no, a little bit more firm, but not too firm, right? Because if you start off straight away with like, no, you know, that is a bit too much. You're basically overcompensating, right? And people, you will look weird. So that's why you want to do the increments. But if they're still trying to test you, you just simply say in a kind voice, I'm sorry, I really can't do it. Please respect my time, right? But the word saying, please respect my time, basically, you saying, look, right now you're taking the piss, accept my answer. But you're saying in a kind tone, so you don't offend anybody, but you get your message across. And that in itself will kill anybody. Somebody did that to me once. It really, really woke me up, you know, because then I was thinking, holy shit, for real? I was really disrespecting her time, right? Because a lot of times they're not aware that they're doing it. The only problem was that you failed to train them to actually respect your time. I'll give you a way you can actually help somebody and do something for someone without losing the strength and the respect that you have worked hard for. So if somebody asks you for something, let's say, let's meet in town so you can help me carry this heavy thing that I can't carry by myself, and you want to help, right? You want to help, you want to agree, but then follow up by saying, I can help you, I'm in town anyways. Even if you're not in town, you know, even if you like get up from your nap and call a taxi to get to town and have like a massive inconvenience, you still want to say, I'm in town anyway. Because in that way, you're not showing that you are sacrificing your time yourself for that one person. Because if you do that, then subconsciously they will think, oh, that guy puts other people in front of him, so let me take advantage of that, you know? And again, it's subliminal, it's not their fault. It's basically on you to make people treat you the way you want to be treated. In Australia, I was staying in a hostel and there was this really, 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 really hot girl, like big booty and everything. I'm telling you, bro. And one time she sat there and while I was cooking and she was saying to her friend, shit, like I don't have any food, literally, you know? And me in my old sim days, I'd be like, hey, here, like you can try some of my food. So I gave her some of my food, right? Keep in mind, she did have food, right? She just didn't want to eat bread. She wanted to eat like a real meal, right? So I gave her my food and I thought I was doing something nice, you know, because I was really kind and shit, right? The next day, while I was cooking again, she was giving me the puddle eyes, you know, like, you know? And since I've already committed the first time and I wanted to have her bubbly booty, you know, I kind of gave in even though I wanted to say no. And that kind of like snowballed, you know, and she lost all the respect for me. The fact I was hoping to get something that she kind of like inexplicitly promised but never gave, which is her booty, she kind of kept stringing me along. And guess what? My friend who was in the same hostel, she tried the same bullshit and he just like said no and ate his food. Guess which one of us got the girl in the end? He did. Ever since then I was like, fuck this shit, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm telling you all of this because it's a lesson that I've learned myself, like a life lesson. So don't beat yourself up because we all have to go through it. One last thing I do want to say is prevention is better than cure, right? And do you know the way you can prevent people from taking advantage of you? By carrying yourself in a masculine frame, right? Because if you carry yourself in a masculine frame, people won't even try you, especially girls, they won't try you. I'll give you an example. There was my friend and I. My friend looked very masculine. He had muscles, he had beards, he had muscle and everything, but he couldn't fight for shit. If you threaten him to beat him up, he'd kind of like cave and like be this little wussy. Whereas I was a bit different. I was a bit like goofy and excited and you know, like the things that girls don't like, right? But I could fight. You know what happens? When we around girls and guys, because I was goofy, girls and guys would always test me. They would always test me. They were always trying to punk me because I gave the perception of being a weakling or a weenie, right? Whereas my friend was a real weenie, but because he carried himself very strong and he never risked any of his strength, right? He was warm and strong, right? Nobody ever tested him, right? So I'm telling you, if you go back to your friendship group, Daniel, right? Be sure to carry yourself not in a shy way, not in a funny or goofy way, but in a masculine and self-respected way. Carry yourself with self-respect. If somebody jokes, smile and shit, but you yourself, you don't want to kind of like joke around at the expense of your own strength. I've done another video about it, Never Be the Loser in a Group, and explains like the concept of warmth and strength properly. I do hope it helps you, and let me know how it goes. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. I appreciate all you guys and the real followers. Give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell. So I've got like a little task for you. In the comment section, let me know, have you experienced something similar to Daniel? And if you do, in the comment section, put in #niceguy so I can actually see who actually made it to the end. My course is coming out the 1st of December, so be sure to stay tuned, and I'm out.